Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Game over.
Hi guys, the surgery was a success. Thank you so much for the love and support, especially from my family. I love you guys. Mr. Tim Sukazi and the TS Galaxy family, the coaches, the management. Thank you so much for the support. My captain, well done on your man of the match performance and getting us into the next round as a team. Everybody that sent messages, especially the other soccer clubs, thank you so much. And our supporters, my supporters, thank you so much for all the well wishes and all the love that you guys has been showing. I really appreciate you. See you guys soon on the field. God bless. One love.
Bernard Parker, thank you so much to TS Galaxy for sending us through. Bernard Parker, it's a video format, so you see Bernard. He's in bed at the hospital still, but reassures everybody that it was a success. The surgery was a success, and now he looks forward to healing. We're with you, Aunt. Thank you so much for updating us, and we wish you all the best. It's exactly 8 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. It's Podcast Friday! Hey! Listen, it's Podcast Friday at 18:45. You are our favorite podcaster because you get in on it as well on 086-000-2160. WhatsApp on 060-552-7303. Welcome to the Mighty Metro FM. I am Andile Ncube. Thank you so much to the Touchdown. And they're back again on Monday between 3 and 6. They do it all over again. Can't wait for it. And remember, Monday is replenishment. So, you know, when you're listening in the car or whatever, button up your shirts, take your cap off because it's church time. I missed this show on Friday. I was still away at the time. I was traveling back, in fact. I think Saturday morning I was going to be traveling back. So I really missed you guys, huh? I didn't think so. I don't think I'd ever miss. I missed you guys. Yeah, Mark, you good?
Blessed and highly favored.
Oh, we're with Mark here. He's when I say the game has got some gentlemen, I speak about Mark, an absolute gentleman, a man that I look up to so much. I love what he does with his family, his wife, his kids. It's very inspirational. I appreciate you having you here. Former, you also like Mkwanza, man. It's a long list. I was about to count and I was like, yeah, but
I think the intro was enough. You don't need to go through anything.
But you might know him from Solos, from Fitz, as well as from Super Sport United. And on my right is Biso Snaps. Biso's with us as well. Of course, I always love having Biso. Biso is a social media curator and digital manager. Biso.
Thank you so much, Ma'a, for the opportunity once again. It's good to be here. Good evening to the listeners also. And we're looking forward to the number one sports show in Mzansi.
Hey, on the other side, we leave him for last because we need to read a roster. It's like a starting 11 sheet when you read out the teams in Kwanza's play.
Yes, it's very funny, Andile. When you introduce MENA, you don't mention those teams that I've played for. I captain them.
Oh, okay, let's go to them.
You've never mentioned
it. Get it right.
Captain of Kaizer Chiefs. Captain of Maritzburg United.
Oh no, Kala wrong.
Oh, captain of
Then you can go down the list.
Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah, I was not just a player. Important
captain of
player.
Golden Arrows. Captain of Amazulu. Captain. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, any guys.
He really has been around the DSTV Premiership back then as the PSL, of course. Some concepts with us as well. He is now, of course, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Nandi.
Yeah, Nandi Sports Academy.
Nandi Sports Academy. We've got young ones that one day want to play. You can always throw them on Mkwanza. When they're done there, they move over and get scouted by Mark. Mark, what is it called again?
Center Circle Consulting.
Center Circle Consulting. And that's where he's offering, it's an all-round for players. You know, if you go there and you get that sort of management to help you ease yourself into football. Hey, it's 11 after hour 6. The intros are done. They're very long. You've done a lot in your life. Well, we played at top now. Was Bernard Parker, of course. I'm pretty sure you guys have something to say about it. But before we do, I just want to know, from a footballer point of view, yes, whether he meant to or not, Tim Sukazi had something different to say. Yeah. But perhaps let's start here. What do you want to say about that whole incident?
Andile, it's a very sad situation. One, for Parker, depends on how the body processes the rehab. Can he come back? Can he not come back? It depends on his body. But I don't really think Zungu was going out to break his leg. I think for me it's being competitive in the sports, but we're not condoning the tackle that Zungu made. But obviously I don't believe that there's a player who goes out to say I want to break Andile's foot ukuthi ngimstop ukuthi angatholi isinkwa sabantwana. I felt very sad for both players. Being in a situation game in Andile Zungu where you scored an own goal, you get a red card, you broke your leg in the same game. These are the things that happens in a game. I think that day Zungu's, it was not his day. Unfortunately, it had to end it that way. It ended.
Yeah, it was a terrible day for Zungu. I mean, even the goal Mbunjana scored was, he's the one that was marking him, and he was beaten to the ball, beaten to make it 2-0. But to say, yeah, I don't think there was any intention to break the leg, but was there intent to hurt him? I think so. The more I watch the clip, the angrier I get, because the reality is, if you watch it, Zungu should actually have won the ball.
That's what Tim says. He says he had an opportunity to go for the ball.
He got there ahead of Parker to the ball.
Yeah.
He should have won the ball. That's what upsets me, honestly. And I don't know the mindset, and I don't want to read anybody's mind, but the reality is he could have won the ball and should have won the ball, but he chose to go over the ball, and in doing so, we saw the result of it. So it was horrific, and he made a choice, and he has to live with that choice. But he could have won the ball, and he should have won the ball. But I think it's a succession of things that happened in the game. The game was boiling. There was quite a few tackles. Players were getting stuck into one another. But that was just over the top, and it was reckless. Terrible for football.
Piso?
Firstly, just wishing Bernard Parker is the speediest of recoveries. I mean, it's hard to come back from an injury like this, especially at that age. But I think for me, the most disappointing thing, because one thing that's very difficult to judge in football is intent with tackles, with handballs or whatever. So it's difficult to judge whether or not he meant to do what he did. I think the most disappointing thing for me in that scenario was his reaction to what he had done.
Yeah.
For him to remonstrate about a red card, and a lot of people have said maybe he hadn't seen it. You can see the other players countless times telling him that, look at what you've done, you've broken his leg, and he's still fighting about whether or not it's a red card.
Okay, fine. Let me get into that.
Yeah.
Let me ask the guys that have been there. You've been on the field. You've probably been hurt. You've heard people. Do you know that you've broken someone's leg?
When his leg is facing the way it should, and it's literally.
So do you think he knew?
He knew. He definitely knew.
So he remonstrated in the way that he did, knowing.
There's no way he could not have seen. I mean, the way Bernard Parker's leg was contorted.
Yeah.
There's no way you can't see that. I think the shock of that whole thing, because I don't think, you get stuck in. I mean, the game gets heavy. It gets hot. We're really having a go at one another. So you want to go in and you want to make a statement. You don't want to break someone's leg.
So he knew. What I'm trying to get at. So he
knew the leg was broken.
So the demonstration, why he did that knowing that he broke a guy's leg.
You've noticed some players, they always do that, and even if he's at fault, you'll always fight.
Yeah, but not when you've broken someone's leg.
But in that situation, Zungu knew he broke his leg. And then he was pleading his innocence. No, intentionally, I was not breaking his leg. Yeah, and I didn't think it would go for straight red.
I have to agree with Biso there. That for me was also very disappointing. So even if you do get the red card, even if whatever the case may be, but once you see that the man's leg is facing the wrong way, it's facing the way it shouldn't, you should switch off to the fact that it's like your humanity should kick in, where you're not even worried about the red card. Now you're worried about your actions, because you've literally maimed somebody on the field. So why not? Like, he should have been around Bernard pleading and begging for forgiveness.
Remember, Mark, while at it, you know how he started the game. So he was trying to justify the performance at the very same token with the fact that now you see the 2 goals that TS Galaxy scored. He was part of them. So already the frustrations, emotional dynamics were taking over from him.
Well, we're going to move on from it. But I can tell you now that Bongani Zungu did apologize.
Okay.
He sent him a text. They spoke via text, and Bernard Parker replied to him, accepted the apology in his reply. And he did say he forgives him. Yeah. And, said, even Bernard was even kind enough to say, may God bless you abundantly. So it has happened. I do know, it's not from me personally, but it comes from a very trusted source that has happened. And I believe it. And so, yeah, he has apologized. Let's move on from that, though. Although we're going to come back to the match and what Tim Sukazi said when he was on the show here. Let's very quickly go to Steve Kompela. Steve Kompela has the playbook on Sundowns.
Yeah.
He has the playbook on Orlando Mokoena. He has the playbook on how Sundowns do business. He's been there for long enough.
Yeah.
Listen to what Steve Kompella's had to say, then we'll get reactions after that.
If Mamelodi Sundowns is too busy, the schedule is too heavy, they will feel the pinch. They will be tired and all that. So the Mamelodi Sundowns schedule may be a challenge to them, but they know how to periodize, top professionals. So even with perfect periodization, rest, hydration, nutrition, diet, whatever you do, somebody who's back in South Africa just training, resting, waiting to play, stands a better chance.
What do you make of that? Steve Kompella basically saying, Sundowns, the way they're going with all the competitions, other teams, they must be wary. This is the time to take them.
The loading of training nowadays, Andile, science has kicked in football. It's also as important as a recovery. You can load, but also the recovery becomes important. So let's clarify first. The periodization is the art of planning the process of training versus your club's program in relation to the club's yearly plan. And I think for me, Sundowns participating in AFL, African Football League, and obviously Carling Black Label, that means they're adding more games. There's Kompella has spoken about the traveling, spoken about the nutrition, all these dynamics that are key. And then the more games that you earn, you need to find a way. You're not going to be training more, you're going to be training less, but then there are players that are not getting minutes. There are players that are not getting enough game time. Then how do you get the balance? So these are the things that you take into consideration. But sometimes got a very strong technical team in terms of understanding those dynamics. Hopefully, because this season the congestion in Zimbabwe.
Mark, Sundowns, can they really? I mean, already with 7 players out, only 7 players out that were with Bafana. Already we saw Sundowns and Rolani saying, "Well, we're our best players out." Well, it's going to be like that for a long time. When you take a look at the fact that they're playing in the AFL, they're playing in the Champions League, they're playing in the 3 domestic cups, they're playing as well in the league.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be challenging.
Jeez, that's a lot.
It's a lot of football.
40,
I think it's
40
60 plus. No, 60 plus.
no?
It can't be. The more they go into...
If they reach the final of every competition, it's going to be 60 plus games. So the reality is, this is now going to test the technical team like it never has before. And when you look at Sundowns as a squad, they have what it takes to compete in every arena and compete really well. When you look at how they played against Galaxy midweek, they did really well. They competed beautifully. They dominated. Galaxy still had, it wasn't like they were playing a weakened Sundowns team, so Galaxy felt they could go toe-to-toe with Sundowns. They sat back and they tried to catch them on the counter because Sundowns has quality in bucket loads. Sundowns technical team, the big job for them is to make sure that they balance the squad. The periodization coach Steve speaks about is going to come into play, but they have the squad to compete. And it's really going to come down to the technical team. How well they rest, how well, they use their players sparingly. What they were missing on injuries is going to impact them as well. Riviero, obviously, that was a major blow for them because they didn't have a number 9. They didn't have a striker on the field midweek. They were playing basically with 6 midfielders. They didn't have a striker. So that's where they fell short. So it's about balancing, using how you're going to use the squad. But when you talk about personnel, they've got enough players to actually do it.
To play 60 games a season?
They have the squad to do it. That's easily they've got, I don't know how many players they have in total, but when you look at the players they have, it's in every position. They've got cover and quality cover. It's not like you're really weak. Look at the players that came off the bench on midweek when they were already missing players. You're still bringing on quality.
Serino come back. Serino's come back, and what we're hearing is Serino apologized to the club, or the club was accepting the apology, and Serino's back as well.
So, and he contributed.
Yeah.
But also, Mark, I want to
go for it.
The performance Wednesday, players that haven't been playing. If you were to look at the performance, we are Rolani Mokoena. Remember, in a big club, you don't have time. They don't care about your minutes, whether you played 2 years ago. People want you to deliver. Let's look at the performances of the players during the
Sundowns were 2-0 down.
I hear that.
And they came back the way they played.
With 10 men for most of the game.
Yeah.
The way they played is what should be scary for everyone because with 10 men, they still dominated Galaxy. When I saw the combination...
when you listen to what Mark is saying, you're missing 7 of your starters, you are 10 men down, you're 2-0 down, and you come back to lose on penalties.
Correct.
I mean... The mental fortitude of those players to come back into that game speaks volumes. They did phenomenally well. And if you look at it, look at the subs who came on. They contributed. Maseko contributed. Ncube came on. He was dangerous.
I disagree.
They were dangerous.
Yeah, I
It took
disagree.
them a
Mark,
while
for-
to get into the
for-
game.
for-
It took them a while to get into the game.
Mark,
But
for
what?
me, Masego still yet to arrive at Sundowns. He hasn't
He's not
performed.
quite-
Nku is yet to arrive at Sundowns. Peters, very disappointed in terms of the output. Is given an opportunity. We thought Onyong would start, but I still believe that they are quality players. I'm not questioning their quality, but I'm questioning the application on Wednesday.
You speak of quality. Have a listen to this, because Tim Sugazi says people bemoaning the fact that there were players that aren't there, the 7 players, and Rene Mokoena was one of those that counted the fact that the number 1 goalkeeper in South Africa is not there, the number 1 defender is not there, the number 1 midfielder is not there, right? This is what Tim Sugazi had to say about that.
You know, the players obviously that you cry foul about them not being there last night. The truth is, again, I repeat, they were there, all of them, when it beat Sundowns last season. So I don't know what would have been the outcome yesterday. So, but it's not a foregone conclusion that maybe they would have beaten us. And I repeat for the last time, all these players were there when it beat Sundowns last year or last season. And I'm also saying that I've counted 8 names of the players, you know, that also were not there and that were there when it beat Sundowns. You know, 8 of them.
Tim Sugazi is speaking to us here exclusively. Just, what is it, on Thursday? Yesterday it was? Yesterday. Yes. That's what he had to say about it. So just wrap it all up first.
He's right. 5 of those 7 players that are away with the national team started that game. The only player that didn't start that game, that were not available for that game, were Umvala and Kekana. But the other 5 started that game. On the game against TS Galaxy that they drew 2-2 and went to penalties, a lot of that game, Sundowns didn't create as much open play opportunities. A lot of their opportunities in the first half especially came from set pieces, right? They were restricted to that because of the performance of TS Galaxy in that game. But I think it's a very, with all due respect to Urulani, I totally understand. What he's done at Sundowns is incredible. But to use that as the reason why they didn't match TS Galaxy on the day, or beat TS Galaxy rather on the day, you look at the players that were available for Sundowns. You've got Marcelo Allende, who's arguably been the player of the season this season, right? You've got, a Zungu, as much as people are angry at him for what happened in that game, is still a player that comes from playing the UEFA Champions
League. But how much football has this man played?
But he is still
the
quality.
Weight issues, he hasn't played much game, he hasn't been able to deliver when he's been on. I don't know if Zungu counts as one of those impactful players. But again, his talent and his touch, maybe you never
that's the point that I'm
that.
making. Yes, the point I'm making. You look at the defenders also. Elebusa, Ekotsi have played regularly. Even Butil has played regularly this season. There's a lot of players there that would have made an impact. But on the day, TS Galaxy just had a little more in the tank.
All right, so we're going to move on from Sundowns and TS Galaxy there. And, of course, all things Steve Kompeller as well. I want to move to something else. This is an interview that came. I need to get this right so that I can give credit. Okay, I'll find it and I'll be able to give credit. In the meantime, let's play it. This comes from Gavin Hunt. Gavin Hunt does Onside. Onside is the name of the podcast that he was on. And speaking on there, Gavin Hunt speaks about his time at Kaizer Chiefs, in particular leading to why he got fired. I don't. Have a listen to what Gavin Hunt said.
Because they were backing me. Well, that's what I thought. And we weren't doing great in the league. We were win one, lose one, win one, lose one, or draw, you know. But in Africa, we were going well. We had discussion. No, just keep going. Do the best you can. Don't worry about the league this year. And obviously, supporters when you lose in the league, you know. And I got told, rather come 6 and get out first round. So I was like, this is Kaizer Chiefs. This is what you're telling me. I don't believe in. And they were, yeah. Rather have a good domestic front and do well there. I said, no, well, the Cups, this is a big opportunity for us. We can get to the final here. We'll go through here. And we got in the semi-final, so that's basically 2 games away from the final. And I thought we had a great chance. And then called me and said, sorry, you got to go. That was it.
Unbelievable to my ears. Unbelievable to my ears. Because Kaizer Chiefs is the biggest team in this country.
Yeah.
One of the biggest on the continent. We've spoken about the mess that is Kaizer Chiefs. You know, Kaizer Chiefs sneezes, the whole PSL catches a flu. The amount of support they have, the amount of history behind them. Gavin Hunt says, I was told, because the team was 8th, 9th at the time, I was told that rather get out first round of the Champions League. When I'm doing so well, I can see that I can win this thing, and rather come 6th in the league. No. No. I get to the semi-finals. I'm still 8th, 9th in the log.
Yeah.
And then I'm fired.
Their period Andile, time Kevin Hunt was brought to Chiefs. Chiefs were looking for immediate success domestically. Obviously, Kevin Hunt, unfortunately, in KEF, things were working well. So the team felt good. Hey, let's rather do well than in a KEF competition. Get knocked off, who KEF.
But don't you want a star and come 8th?
The team one was not doing well domestically. I'll tell them a chance when.
Are you telling me that supporters and guys, please
so
call
when are
me?
you saying, okay,
I'm saying as a supporter of a team,
Gallants,
I support Marumo Gallants. They come 8th. They come 8th, and they win a star.
Yeah.
I've had the greatest season.
But the Marumo Gallants situation, doing so well, KEF, semi-final, get relegated.
Yeah, this is different. They were 8th, 9th. They were not getting relegated.
And again, we speak about sober expectations because what was the major downfall in that season? Could Gavin reinforce his squad? Could he sign any players? Could he improve the team? That wasn't really an option for him. So, him being 6th, 7th in the league would still have been,
true.
But now you couple that with Champions League success. And I know for Gavin, that's the one thing he hasn't really done well at. He's gone the length in an African competition. So that would be high on his agenda, So yeah, it is disappointing that was the case, and that's how that played out.
Chiefs doesn't care for the Champions League. I'm saying it sounds to me like
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a difficult. Like, how do you not care about the Champions League? I mean, how do you not care about being among the best on the continent?
But also, I was saying, if you at that time, Kevin Hunt was brought in and the Chiefs were trophyless. So there was high pressure.
But they're not saying, no, hold on.
No.
They're not saying win the league. No.
Yes, but
they're saying
well
let's come
domestically.
6th.
Yeah, do well domestically.
Guys, you're playing around. You're not sticking to me. So perhaps you can help me.
I think for any Kaizer Chiefs fan hearing that is probably one of the most disappointing things you can hear. To hear that, you've got a chance. For a long time, Kaizer Chiefs fans on social media will tell you how much pain they have felt from being, from all the banter about the star, that Orlando Pirates has, that Mamelodi Sundowns managed to have. They would have wanted that star. They would have wanted to push on in that competition.
Number 10 league
number 10 league, but then you get a star. Who remembers? My man. If you come 8th, they came 8th.
Let me tell you one thing: is star is for bragging, it. But I can tell you.
What do you mean?
But it's not just bragging.
Wait, Andy. I'm a course fans out here. They'll rather win the league.
But they were not winning the league anyway.
I want to show. But number 10, but winning up.
Okay, Kwanzaa, listen. If in that season, they finished 8th and they went to the final of the Champions League, they didn't win it. If they had finished 10th in the league and won a star, which season is better?
But guys, I think the
Which
reality
season is
is
better?
Are we saying that Gavin Hunt was fired because of the results?
What Kevin Hunt said. Kevin Hunt.
To be fair, in those 14 games leading up to him being fired, he only won 2. So
is that domestically?
Yes, I know, combining everything, domestically and in the Champions League. Because you remember, they lost 3-0 away to Simba, and then they came back. Yes, they had beaten them here, 4-0.
Yeah, then
they went there,
3-0.
they lost 3-0.
Yeah,
they
Simba
came back
Simba.
home, they lost 2-1 to Black Leopards. That's when he was fired.
Amongst other things.
I
think ultimately, I don't think that decision was solely based on results.
But you let the guy play 2 games.
Yes.
Semi-finals? Of a trophy that you've done so well in? No?
If he wins the Champions League, can you fire him?
I mean, they fired a coach that comes... Hold on.
Reaching the final, Andile.
Before that, the season before, they'd fired a coach that had lost the league by 15 minutes.
Yeah, million.
He had lost the league by 15 minutes. He came second. That was the best that any team has done in the PSL in a long time, looking at how Sundowns have been dominant.
And Gavin Hunt mentions that in that same interview, in that same podcast, that he was surprised when he got the call for Kaizer Chiefs because he said, this coach just came second. Why would you fire him?
By 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That last 15 minutes, we all remember it.
Yeah,
painful.
No.
Painful 15 minutes, yeah.
Now I remember.
All right, let's move on. Let's take a break. When we come back, When we come back, no, I'm not. I'm really not. When we come back, we'll get into Siyabonga Zulu. He came into the studio, had a very candid conversation with us. Let's get into that. Remember, we're taking your calls. Optajabu still coming up. Have you followed him yet? It's at Optajabu. It's exactly 18:34. There's a lot of indifference here today, but nonetheless, there's a lot of just not sure. When I give mine, not sure. I've got 3 people I'm not sure about. It's Podcast Friday. I've got Mark Mkonza as well as Biso in the studio, but I can't wait to hear from you. And of course, Up to Job is still coming. You can send us your WhatsApps on 060-552-7303 and call us on 086-000-2160 on everything that you've heard. We're going to be building up to the games of this weekend. I can see that the one game is getting ready as we speak there. Orlando Pirates are going to be underway in just a few there. So we're going to be watching Cape Town Spurs versus Orlando Pirates. That game, I think, is also going to be live on SABC Sport. So you can catch that. There's 4 games this weekend on SABC Sport. 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, all in the Black Label Cup. So do make sure that you do watch that too. Let's move on. Siyabonga Zulu was here. Siyabonga Zulu has been synonymous over the past couple of years with not showing up at gym, with being, not sober, with making bad decisions as a player. But he was young in football terms. He was in his early 20s to mid 20s at the time. Yeah. He couldn't find a team for a while. He sat at home for 4 years, just training here and there, He'd go to Swallows and train. He went to several teams and trained. He wasn't given a contract up until now when he was given a contract at La Masia to try and help them. And he says at 30 years old, after not playing football for 4 years, and we know the talent that he has. When he was at Sundowns, he was starting left back, one of the best in the country because Bafana said so, because he was picked to go and represent them there. Have a listen to what he had to say about when he played his last professional football match.
Yeah, All Stars, 2019.
So you last played in 2019.
Yeah.
That's 4 years ago.
4 years ago, 2019.
The last time you played professional football, you were 26 years old.
And training, mengizenza ngikhuphula like ngisibuza ukuthi one went wrong, ngiyenzani ezi wrong yini engiphazamisile kangaka. And finally ngathola ukuthi kenzakalani.
He goes on to say his dreams and hopes are still to play football at the highest level. He wants to play in the PSL.
Moving forward, if I can get a lot of game time, I think this 9 months showcase I will go back to PSL. Then after that, then the life will start again. Siyabonga Zulu zobuya futhi.
He takes responsibility for a lot of what's happened in his life. 30,000 spent a day every weekend, drinking 6 cases of 24. You do the maths of what that looks like. How many beers that is. 12 bottles of liquor. That's what he was consuming. He's back. He hasn't played for 4 years. La Masia have given him an opportunity. Biso?
It's firstly, I wish him all the best with that. It's not going to be easy. Coming back from not playing for 4 years at the highest level. Yes, you might have been training, but you haven't been playing at the highest level or even at NFD level for that matter for 4 years. Coming back into the game, it's going to be an uphill battle for him. But, if he says that he's still at that level, we hope so, But to be honest with you, even the team that he's joining hasn't been doing that well in the league. I mean, they're 9th right now. They finished 13th last season. They've only won, I think, 1 of their last 5 games. So unless he can come in and score the goals for them, he probably is going to struggle to get them promoted. As for him getting the contract of what he's going to do this season, I mean, case in point, we had Makola a few months ago who had the same situation where he went back to the NFD to try and, gain a contract back. At that age, it's going to be a really difficult thing. But, we wish for the best for him. And, it's good to see a player finding his feet again and getting the contract.
Mkonza, many don't get a 3rd, 4th opportunity.
Andile, it's a big opportunity for him. It also serves as a therapy for him because it's not just only about playing, but psychologically it helps. But for me, I'm one of the people that, if he remembers, Usia, I spoke to him at Nike Center, and I'm not going to mention the things that were happening, but I told him that I'm worried we are struggling to conform with the discipline of being a pro footballer, and you're not giving a good example to the youngsters because there are tournaments normally in December in Nike Center. But again, for me, Lamasi, I think they're looking at it from the bigger picture to say he can bring a bit of experience in that dressing room, responsibility, because sometimes when you have someone who has walked this walk, the players that haven't walked the walk, it's easy then for the players to understand and relate. Oh, these are the things that I need to be disciplined, because most of soccer players were to top talent, but the issue is then, do you have the discipline enough of becoming a pro footballer? So I think we'll see a good example. He will tell his story. There's the time for him now to tell his story. This is what I've done incorrectly. I want to correct it now.
But from just a mind and body point of view, 4 years not playing, you're 30 years old now, Mark?
I think quality is, they say form is temporary, class is permanent. And so he is a classy player. He is a top player. He's shown that time and time again in the past. Yes, it has been 4 years. It's going to take a monumental effort to get back to those levels. But he is a quality player. And the first and most important thing is acknowledging you're wrong. I think he's acknowledged his mistakes. He's owned them. He's taken them on. And so now he has to learn from them and put into practice what he's learned. So it's about his lifestyle now. Is he going to go back to what, if
he hasn't had a drink in 4 years too.
So then that's already a great start. And so if he can kick on from there, with the quality that he has as a player, he can make it back. It definitely, 30 is not old. It's only in South Africa where we think 30 is over the hill. 30 is actually the peak. You reach your peak around between 28 and 32 is really when you're at your peak. So if he really puts in the effort, he gets his body into great shape, he's at his peak.
Gents, thank you so much. Those are all the stories from the week. Now we're going to look forward a little bit. Remember that the AFL has begun. There is a game right now. Simba of Tanzania taking on Al Ahly of Egypt. The score at the moment is 2-2 with 65 minutes having been played. Kibu and Kanute scoring in the 53rd and 69th minute, and then it's Slim and Kahraba scoring in the 45th and 63rd minute. So it is 2-2 at the moment after 65 minutes have been played in the African Football League. The SABC will be giving you every single one of those games in the African Football League, not just the Sundowns game. So you can look forward to that as well. Guys, let's move on. I see the calls are coming in, and I want to make sure that we get as many as possible. But before we go to the games that you've picked for this weekend, I think I'll give you 1.5 games each. If we can try to get through them quickly, we can maybe even do 2 games. But firstly, let's go to Lindo Lamoya. Lindo Lamoya is part of the guys that do Opta Jabu. I absolutely love their stats. I use the stats even on the air because I think it's the most comprehensive stats you can find on the DSTV Premiership and the PSL as well. It's at Opta Jabu. Lindelo.
Andile, good evening. Good evening to you and the listeners and everyone in the studio as well.
Hey, tell me, what do you think of that Black Label Cup, the matte black one? It looks nice to me.
The cup itself looks wonderful. Hey, we've been looking for a better looking cup for a while now.
So do you think that's the one?
I think that's the one, Andile.
All right, talk to me. What do you have for us today?
So we have the cup is back. Hey, this is the League Cup, which we know commonly as. Previously, it was known as the Coke Cup and also the Rothmans Cup and the Telkom Knockout. But this is just a different version, and it's exciting that it's actually starting now this weekend.
If I can ask you, who's been the most successful in the format of this cup? I think I know who, because they've been the most successful in any trophy except perhaps for the league in this country.
Yes, when it comes to trophies and cups, we know who are the cup kings. Andile, that one is pretty much clear.
Tell me, who is
Kaizer
it?
Chiefs.
Kaizer Chiefs.
The favorites, yes. So they've reached more finals than any other PSL side in the PSL era. This is 10 times. And in addition to that, they've won them 8 times, which is an 80% success rate when they get to that final. Also more than any other team. The Chiefs have won 8 League Cup titles in the PSL era, more than any other side.
Okay, let's shock him a little bit though. If I was to count when last Kaizer Chief lifted a trophy, if I was to count it in days, how many days has it been since Kaizer Chiefs won a trophy?
So, in that instance, then things don't look good, Andile. It's been 3,086 days up to today since Kaizer Chiefs last lifted a trophy.
How many years is over 3,000?
3,086 days.
Yes, 3,086 days.
Well, that's a long time. I mean, that's shocking.
I was waiting for
That's
Mark to
shocking.
say something.
No, I think nobody knows it better than Kaizer Chiefs. I can tell you that. I
100%.
think they've, they know that they've underachieved, and I think they're trying to turn over every rock to try and find the solution.
Pirates, though, I think they're the team that everybody's talking about at the moment. They seem like they're quite the cup specialists. They played in 3 tournaments. They've won all 3 under their coach, Ribeiro. What else do you have?
Yes, but unfortunately, Pirates don't really like the League Cup, or rather, the League Cup doesn't really like Orlando Pirates. So they've only ever won 1 League Cup. That was in 2011. Even Jomo Cosmos Andile have 2 League Cups, which is more than Pirates.
Mark, were you there?
I was there for one of them.
Hey, look at that.
It was crazy because they hit us 5-0 the year before. Remember when Jabu was going crazy that day?
I remember that.
Jabu, and then the second year was the controversial one where the supporters weren't happy. Sami Makhalifa was given a serious job to do on Jabu that day. He had to follow him everywhere. If he went to the toilet, Sammy was going with him. So, yeah, we won 1-0. Tiko Bukwani getting the goal that year. What
record is in the sight of Orlando Pirates, though, if they were able to win this?
So, as you mentioned, Andile, they've won already the 2013 Nedbank Cup and the 2023, MTN 8. So that's 2 titles in 1 year. Because the curling knockout is also played in the same year, they can make it 3 titles, knockouts, in the same year. Only one team has done that before, and that was Orlando Pirates in 2011, who won 3 domestic PSL knockout trophies in the same year.
Propilane says, I must say, Guti, Orlando Pirates, Bafana and Zulu, they've both won it once. Up to Jabu, give us details. How do people get a hold of you? How do they follow you? How do they support you?
Friends, Andile, we are up to Jabu and Laduma Analytics on all the social media platforms.
Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you. Laduma Analytics, if you're really into football stats, if you like the BISO and you want to speak about how many minutes, seconds, who passes who the most, and how many passes in a game, do follow Laduma Analytics. I know all the coaches do too. Guys, should we take a quick break? All right, let's take a quick break. BISO, you get your minute. What game are we looking forward to, and what would you like to say about it?
Golden Arrows versus Cape Town City. You're looking at a Golden Arrows team that's second in the league right now. You're looking at a Cape Town City side that's having a bit of a resurgence now. Kanyisa Mayo has 3 goals in 2 games. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare against each other. Last season, they drew 2 times. So it'll be interesting to see how they do in a knockout competition.
So who are you going with?
I'll go with Golden Arrows for this one. I think they just have a little more.
Mkwanza?
Pirates versus Cape Town Spurs. For me, Pirates.
The game that's about to start now.
Yes, the most difficult game to come back based on hangover, a final, 2 weeks FIFA break. Hopefully the application will be in a different level for Pirates. But again, Cape Town Spurs, Andile kunzima. 8 games and beat Babadliwe, and ultimately they only scored 5 goals, conceded 17, which speaks to a team that is really struggling. And I hope this FIFA break was used to their effect in a sense that today they can build confidence from this match, but they are playing a very tough Orlando Pirates.
Mark?
I think I would have gone with that one as well. I think it's going to be an interesting one. But Kaizer Chiefs up against AmaZulu, I think is going to be a really interesting one as well. 2 teams that are very inconsistent at best. And so, Kaizer Chiefs have to set the record straight. They need to win something, and it needs to start with, whatever they're playing right now. And so AmaZulu have had the beating of Chiefs of late as well. So it's kind of even Stevens between these 2 teams, and I think that's what makes that one quite interesting. What happened last year
What happened this season?
In the MTN 8, what happened last year?
No, I'm asking this season.
We're talking cup competition.
Oh, okay.
We're talking cup competition.
So who are you giving it to,
These are 2 teams that anyone can win on the day, and that's what makes this matchup so interesting. I would say it's going to be. A lot of people might be upset after this one. A lot of people might be upset after this one.
All right, let's go. Your yay or your nay. Your sports that are amplified with Andile's yay and nay for this week. What do you want to highlight as something positive, and what do you think could do with a little bit more work?
My yay for this week is definitely the game between Galaxy and Sundowns. There was so much in that game. But if you had to ask for an advert for South African football, to advertise South African football, this game was phenomenal. When you looked at 2 contrasting styles of football, TS Galaxy happy to sit back, break out, Sundowns piling all the pressure, but not really able to break them down. That game had everything. The red cards, the yellow cards, the goals. It had everything up to penalty shootouts. So both teams, hands up to them. Great applause for both of them. I think it was a phenomenal game of football.
Okay, and your name?
I
understand if you said the same game.
No, it is the same game. And, you know, you would think I'm going to go with Zungu, but I'm not. I'm going to go with the officiating. Because I understand making mistakes. We all make mistakes. But some mistakes just shouldn't happen. TS Galaxy had a great moment at the end of extra time where offside was given. When it's not even close. I mean, how do you get a decision at that level of the game? You can't get decisions like that wrong. It was not even remotely close to offside. And then penalties. Goalkeeper coming off his line. The assistant referee is right there.
Yeah,
how do you not get that?
There was a lot of coming off the line there. Your time is up. You have a minute.
For me, Andile, I'll shoot straight. I'm a players. I thought when I look at that Sundowns team, and
is this your yay or your nay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you know.
Is this your yay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt when I look at and watch the match, I felt good. I'm actually I can do better, Andile, in a sense that.
I'm Kwanza. What's your yay? What's your What's your player or your moment of the week?
Yeah, ngisezo ku-Alenda.
Oh, okay.
Ngisaqala ngama-play Sundowns. I felt good.
You have a minute. Go for it.
Oh, okay. A minute ayincane. But again, I believe that if you look at play Sundowns, it's not just about being in a big club. The deliverance has to be in a different level. But again, I want to highlight to Allende. I thought for me, Allende has done so.
It's the third time you're giving Allende a big
Andile, I want you to watch Allende from now on. For me, influence is big. And for me, Allende can be defensive, can be offensive. And for me, not the fact that he scored, but
time is up.
Yes. Then, Andile. For me, I'm very disappointed with the fact that TS Galaxy performed so well against bigger clubs. They need to keep the consistency when they play even the same level clubs. Because they've beaten Chiefs this season. They've beaten Sundowns. They need to keep the consistency.
He's taking your 30 seconds. Your 30 seconds. Go for it.
Yeah, my eye has to be Mr. 100,000 Umbonjana. I mentioned earlier how Sundowns were restricted to set pieces in that game and shots from distance. A lot of that was because of how well he was screening the defense in that game. So, yeah, it has to be him. Nay, it definitely has to be the reaction from Bongani Zungu. I still can't get that out of my system. It's
all right. Thank you very much. It's done. Thank you. It's over to you now. Play some of the voice notes and then we're taking your calls.
Drop us a voice note on 060-552-7303. Waking up. I'm too turned up.
Andile, good evening there with the guys in studio. Zungu had a bad day. He had a bad day. Unfortunately, if you're having a bad day, you become seemingly like this ignorant and arrogant human being, you know, because he even failed to read the room. That's what happens when you're having a bad day, you know, because he could have read the room by seeing the referee calling emergency, and they came with those clusters to assist a broken bone. You know, he failed even to read all those kind of things. You know, it's quite bad. Speedy recovery for Parker. I said something else also, Andile. Football fans know football. I said something else about giving a number 10 to a youngster at Pirates. Everybody in the studio went, I want you on Monday. I want you to talk about that on Monday. I'll try calling in. Hopefully I'll come through.
Hi, Ma. This is Marcelo from Amanswa. Thank you for coming back to this story, Siyabonga. What I don't understand is that if you are paying per geld and you are being harassed, why don't you show the proof that you've been paying? And another thing, if somebody is harassing you like this, why don't you go and open a case against them and have protection order against them? And anyway, Siyabonga Zulu.
No, speak about Siyabonga Zulu. Sorry.
I think he had enough money to can get a lawyer to help him with this person that was harassing him. I just don't buy his side of the story. No, it just doesn't add on to me.
No, sorry, you had us. We're thinking what? But I completely get you. Siyabonga Zulu, of course, coming on the show and saying that his ex-girlfriend harassed him. Training should come with the police should come. She said he beat her up. She said he had raped her. She even sent people to go shoot at his parental home. So that's what she's responding to there. Terribly sorry. We're a bit confused there, but you're completely right in what you're saying because it did come out on the show. Let's go to Bonkosi. Bonkosi is in Soweto. Bonkosi.
If you look at the game against Chiefs, Lukola was suspended. He makes some error on that game, and then you come to the game against Pirates, whereby the ref made some bad decisions there.
So hold on. Are you saying by Sundowns ibethwa kwi-boardrooms abanye abantu, so people are influencing e-games from e-boardrooms to be Sundowns lose?
I'm telling you, how I never saw even in England whereby the national team is playing today and then Man City is playing the Shield and the following day, or maybe in Spain whereby Real Madrid is playing the Copa del Rey. I never seen something like that, Andile. So what I'm saying that, you see, those Sundowns are playing bad. We can't blame the coach. The coach is doing a good job there, but someone behind all these things.
Bongani, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you guys, you must know, I hold the PSL at the highest level. I think the PSL is by far one of the best leagues in the world. I think it's the best league in Africa. Sure. I think it's the most well-run league in Africa, one of the most well-run leagues in the world. I think that, I hold it to very high regard. Yes, there's issues with the refereeing at the moment, which falls under SAFA, of course, but also, it's part of this PSL package. But I would be hurt. I would be hurt if I knew or heard if there was a reality and a truth to things like that. I would be devastated. Let's go to Lunga. Lunga's out in report. Lunga.
Good evening, my and the team.
Hey.
Hey, umkonza abafuna ukubhena ama-bridges nge-Chiefs. I'm going to talk about Chiefs and CAF.
Okay.
Njani mkonza.
Awuthiyama.
Bafo, if like i-pride yama-fans bro wami. Ngiyazi isikhathi singani. Ngisupport i-Chiefs ne-Arsenal uma awuyazi.
Ngiyakufila njalo.
Bengithi angifuni ukukhuluma nge-Chiefs but ngizwa ingihlaba. Thina simameli ezama-supporters. uBobby Dara sitshela ukuthi relaxani. I-team yasemzini nizozwa ngathi. You understand? And it goes to prove ngale point ka Gavin Hunt because uBobby wewasho ukuthi i-CAF ayinanyuko. What's the use? Thina ama-supporters asilaleli sifana nenye iphathi ngengikhulume esihola la South Africa ngiyabonga.
Ongele Lunga, as a Chief supporter, if you had come 8th or 9th or even 10th that season and won the Star, are you happy?
Nibeke kwacaca namajita. Mfethu ngithola i-Star, ngilibele ngiyahlekwa estradini bathi awuna fuck on.
Lunga, he's out of here. Thank you so much. Let's go to Peter. Peter's out. Peter.
So,
talk to me.
I want to go straight to the game of Orlando Pirates, and I'm so satisfied about. I'm so happy because Lord is back, and I see my Pirates and then die in the starting lap. So I'm so glad. I'm see that team is going to win tonight. And then lastly, but not in the least, Andile, I want to ask you something, or with them concept the horror. What is the criteria of this AFL games? That type of Africa? What is the criteria of selecting those teams?
This week on Tuesday, actually, I spoke about it when I Peter, because Dr. Patrice Motsepe, I was in the Ivory Coast with him, and he explained it to all the journalists that were there, and he says it's purely based on CAF rankings. Every single team on the continent is ranked in CAF. Mazola Mulefa is going to be here on Monday. He's going to tell us how the CAF rankings work and where Chiefs and Pirates are ranked in those CAF rankings, but they are ranked outside of the top 10.
All right, man. I will be listening on Monday.
Thank you so much, Peter. Man, Oscar Khwatsa finish. Move finish. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much, guys. I think anybody listening to this has grown a little bit wiser in the football space. I really do appreciate it. Catch Mark. He's off to do the game that we're talking about at the moment now. He's looking at the starting 11s as we speak. So do catch him on Radio 2000 Extra. That's where he's going to be. Mkonza, on the weekend, were you?
No, Exas. I was Cape Town City.
And then on Sunday?
Polokwane City and Skukun.
On television, do catch him at SABC1. Mark, are you on TV this weekend?
Pretty much. I think I might be working with Mkonza doing the games that he's doing.
So there it is. It's a feast full of sport because we give you the Cricket World Cup tomorrow on SABC Sport, as well as the Rugby World Cup as well, starting tonight and tomorrow. South Africa versus England in both matches. Biso?
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
They must just catch you at your mother's house, ne?
No, they can catch me on social media. I'm making sure the conversation continues.
What is it? What is the handle?
It's Snawa_Metro FM.
And also your personal one?
Biso_XOX.
So Snawa_Metro FM. Biso runs that account, so do catch him there. To my team, thank you so much. Lemapar. Pela Pela. And so me.